Welcome to the MBP Movie Podcast. This week we'll be bringing you our top 5 80s movies.
Yeah. Where we're going, we don't need roads. Welcome to the show. We're going to be talking about our top 5 80s movies. We're going to omit things like Star Wars, superheroes, and horror. We're not going to include horror because we're going to do a horror one in October probably when we get to our Halloween month. So, do you want to start with honourable mentions?
I just wanted to ask you a question first. I wanted to ask how hard you found it to do your top 5 80s movies.
I've had 5 for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then today I've remembered a film that I really love, and I've been kind of and ahhing. I've actually taken something out of my top 5 because I want to put this film in, and it's more because it's something I enjoy a little bit more.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
So
I found it really difficult. The top 3, my top 3, they're just unbelievable. There's no way to pull any of them out. But then I had a problem between 4 to 8, and I couldn't really decide. And even my 9 and 10 are so good. You're like, when you're just looking at something, you think, why am I pulling this out? And you're like, oh, because I've got that in there and that in there. So I found it really difficult. But yeah, we'll move on to honourable mentions. I'm going to cheat a little bit because we said 2, but I'm going to name 3 because they're all kind of the same genre.
I've got more than 2 anyway. So.
All right, well, that's all right then. Well, the fantasy genre for me is an amazing genre. I absolutely love it. And you've got Willow, you've got Labyrinth, and I forgot it again, haven't I? And it's over there in the DVDs. Legend with Tom Cruise.
Yeah, Ridley Scott. Yeah,
just love all those movies. Now, specifically when I mention
early Tom Cruise film.
Yeah, specifically when I mention Legend as well, I prefer the US cut, which has got the Tangerine Dream soundtrack. I do not like.
Is that the one we had recorded on VHS?
I think we had both actually. So my dad always recorded both, but he preferred the Tangerine Dream soundtrack version as well, and that was the one that the BBC show that version a lot actually.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I just like that it's synthy music, and that's just me all over. I prefer that version. I think it's a bit darker as well. So, but the director's cut was very, very long.
Right. Okay.
Ridley Scott.
Yeah, shot,
and the cut down version, I just don't think the music. There's not, I think it's is it Jerry Goldsmith or something like it's got.
Possibly, he's a very big composer.
I think it's him anyway, and there's nothing wrong with his score. I just prefer that other version. I think it's more fantasy.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
But yeah, they're my 3 honourable mentions anyway.
Well, I've omitted because I class it as horror, Lost Boys.
Okay.
And Monster Squad. They would have been 2 that I would have considered probably if we'd have been doing. But I think they're horror. I
discounted them because they were horror.
Yeah, they're horror based, aren't they? I've actually not included The Goonies in my list. I love the film, but the films I have picked are just. I think I enjoy them a little bit more now, and it's almost like I can just throw them ones on. Not that I can't not throw The Goonies on, but
yeah.
Those. And The Secret of My Success didn't make my list. It was so close to making my list.
No, that's a film you love.
Because I absolutely love that film. I think it's like a perfect 80s
movie.
I
think this is the perfect time to say this is our favourite 80s movies. It's not necessarily about what we think is the best.
Yeah,
it's about what we enjoyed the most.
Yeah. So Secret of My Success just didn't make the cut, and it killed me to do it because I love that film.
I know how you feel. It's really killed me doing this.
It's Michael J. Fox as well. I love, and it's just hilarious. It's hilarious from start to finish, and it's got. I always wanted to work in a mailroom because he worked in a mailroom, and he basically creates a job, doesn't he, in the office. I just wanted to do something like that. But so that didn't make my list, and I
think we could have easily done a top 30, probably top 50.
Probably, yeah. So. And I've omitted Beverly Hills Cop, which was hard to omit as well because again, I absolutely love that.
That didn't make my list, but there's a few others. I don't want to mention them in case they're in your list.
Yeah. So that was it. They were the ones that were close, but no cigar.
Okay.
So
do you want to start first? Do you want me to start first?
I don't mind going first.
Go first then.
So the first film, this is the one that I didn't have on my list. I just remembered today because you mentioned it, The Running Man.
Yeah,
because it's cheesy. It's basically Batman. Yeah, it is. Yes. People always say like, "Oh, it looks a bit like a TV film," but I really like that about it.
I always thought it does at the beginning. You like I remember when I went back and watched it last time, and I was like, "Why does this look like a TV movie?"
I think it's got that 80s feel, and I think that's part of it.
I don't think all of it does. I think it's just the beginning bit that looks really TV.
I don't know. I think quite a bit of it does. I think you can tell maybe.
But I love it, and I love all the backgrounds, the matte paintings.
Yeah, matte paintings. Look amazing. Yeah, I think it's a brilliant film. Arnie's one-liners are on point. That's the best Arnie one-liner film I've ever seen.
You've got a quite favourite line.
So, I'll be back only in a rerun. Yeah. It's got to be that one. And like the bit where he signs the contract and stabs the guy in the back and stuff. And one of my favourite lines is when she goes, "I'm going to throw a ball over you," and he goes, "Go ahead, once you're on this shirt." Sorry about my terrible Arnie impression as well. But yeah, so the Running Man for me, and it's just, it's action, it's funny. It's intentionally funny.
It's tongue in cheek, isn't it? Yeah.
And Jesse the Body Ventura's in it, and he's quality in it, and he's doing the poses in the video like, and all that. I just think just quintessential 80s.
Cool. Well, it's funny we're on about tongue in cheeks. My number 5 is actually The Princess Bride. Which I think is basically a parody of that fantasy fairy tale sort of movie. I love the opening of the movie with Fred Savage sat in a bed and he's playing that little baseball game, which I really want to go off because that looks awesome. And he's he knows his granddad's coming. That bit where he goes, "He's going to pinch me on the cheek," and his mum goes, "He might not," and he comes in, he pinches his cheek straight away, and that look he gives his mum is brilliant. Because I mean, who don't love to watch Fred Savage? He's an amazing little actor.
We loved the Wonder Years, didn't we, Graham?
I've got some notes written down. Obviously, all I was going to say with that bit where he comes in and he gives him the book, doesn't he? And he's like, it's a present, so he opens it and he's like, a book. And I think, you can relate to that because even as a kid, I didn't want to open a book. But it also reminds me of like my son, Matt, trying to get him to watch it, and I finally got him to watch it this time.
Oh, did he like it?
He agreed it, and he really liked it. He sat there really quiet, and you always know your kids enjoying a movie because they don't move. They don't want to go at the toilet and things like that. So I've actually wrote a lot down, but I won't go too into it because you haven't yourself. It's got to say one of my favourite scenes in the entire movie is when, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, Inigo Montoya?
Oh, yeah.
Where he's fighting the Dread Pirate Roberts. And spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, it's also Wesley. which my son, as he was watching it, just before the reveal, he turned round as the Dread Pirate Roberts and he went, "That's the same hair as Wesley's." It's Wesley, isn't it? I was like, damn it, he's got it just before the roll down the hill. And even going back to that bit, the roll down the hill, the way the camera stays on it a little bit longer and the falling, and it just makes it funny. But going back to when I was saying Inigo Montoya and Dread Pirate, also that sword fight and the music is on point. I think it's very much like the old Robin Hood film, the way they do the sword fights.
Kevin Costner.
No, even older.
Oh, like the Errol Flynn.
Errol Flynn.
Yeah.
Flynn,
Sorry, I'm thinking I don't know sword fighting Kevin Costner.
So just quickly, just going over the characters. Obviously, I've mentioned the two. Inigo Montoya is probably my favourite. Or maybe Andre the Giant. Especially.
Well, I was going to say you can't not mention Andre the Giant, can you? He's absolutely brilliant in that film.
And I won't go too much into it, but this is going to be a running theme in the movie. I think the music, like I was saying before, the way it beated throughout the movie, just absolutely on point. It's brilliant. Works perfectly with the comedy. Some great cameos as well from Mel Smith and Billy Crystal.
Billy Crystal
completely steals that scene, and I just love where he's pumping air into him to try and get him to say something. And he goes, "True love," and he goes, "But that's not what he said." He says, "To believe," and his wife comes actually going, "Liar!" Absolutely amazing. So I just wanted to give you a bit of information on this, the box office, because I've done this for all of them. So quite interested in the box office, like scores
I haven't
and
done
stuff.
that in mine. Sorry.
No, it's all right. Don't worry about it. It cost 16 million to make, but it only made 30.8 million.
All right. Okay.
So I'm guessing in that case it was a flop. But that's just the US. I couldn't find the worldwide stuff for a lot of the older movies. And a little bit of trivia for you. Robin Wright, who played Buttercup. She used to get cold on set, and Andre the Giant to come and put his massive hand on top of her to keep her warm. I thought that was absolutely lovely.
His hands were massive as well.
And also, when it was first wrote in the 70s, this is according to William Goldman, and this is all my trivia is from IMDb, so if IMDb is not reliable, then this isn't reliable information, but I think most of this is. But he originally they were going to originally use Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was very interested in playing the character.
Oh, really?
But it took him that long to make it. By the time it came around, he was too expensive, and they ended up getting Andre the Giant, who was his original choice.
Oh, that's interesting.
They couldn't get Andre the Giant.
Well, I think it wouldn't have worked with Arnie, that. It had to be Andre.
No, but I mean, in terms of if you look at him in the early 80s, how big he was much bigger than a normal guy. So, but I'll move on because I know yours were quite quick, and I'll just through a few stuff.
So should I go my next one?
Yeah, number 4, yeah.
Well, I'm going to stick with Arnie. I'm going to go with The Predator.
Alright, that didn't quite make my list.
That film is just unbelievable to me. It's one of my favourite. Again, another Jesse the Body Ventura, Arnold Schwarzenegger team-up movie.
I watched it the other night, and that was the one that I thought...
The Predator?
Yeah, it doesn't make my top 5, but then it's just... an unbelievably good film.
I think it's I think again he's got some good one-liners in it, but it's quite a serious film at the same time.
Ain't got time to bleed.
Yeah, they're not just from Arnie. That's what I mean.
No,
they're absolutely hilarious. And just the Predator looks amazing. I mean, it's quite interesting that the original Predator was Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah.
Didn't look great.
No, I saw a bit more of that, and it was very orangey looking, and it just looked an absolute.
Well, that was only for the orangey looking thing was only for the vision thing, wasn't it? When they didn't quite see it, when it was like in the leaves and stuff. So it was
yeah,
like
I wasn't sure what.
But have you actually seen the picture of the Predator? What it looked like when it was before it was the other actor? It was more like
I just saw him in the orange.
It was more like a bug.
Yeah,
it didn't really look like.
Well, I actually know
like
from last night I was watching through the extras on it, and they said basically that they halted filming, and they said to the, I think they were running out of money, and they showed the studio, and the studio said, "Oh yeah, we'll go back and do that," and they brought Stan Winston on, didn't they?
Yeah, Stan Winston. Well, you can tell because his effects.
And as soon as you see his suit, and you're just like, "My God, that's amazing."
It's such an improvement.
A bit of trivia on that I found out last night. Evidently, the little things.
The little
that are on its face.
Yeah,
they are evidently James Cameron's idea. He was on a plane with Stan Winston,
really?
and he went, "Why don't you do this little?"
Oh, that's cool.
Thingy.
That's really iconic now as well.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, "Oh, James Cameron."
And obviously Shane Black, who's in it, is directing the new one.
Do you know? You told me before, and I went to my wife as I was watching it. I said, "Oh, that guy, he's somebody. That guy with the glasses."
Yeah, he's somebody he cracks all the jokes, doesn't he?
Oh, it's Shane Black. I went,
yeah.
Wait a minute, Shane Black's directing the new one.
yeah, that's what's interesting. I mean, in fact, they wanted him to rewrite the Predator on set, and that's why they hired him as an actor.
Yeah.
And he still said, "I'm still not rewriting it." So I still didn't want it. So yeah, another one for me, the Predator, the big fight at the end between Arnold Schwarzenegger and the Predator.
It's unbelievable. Isn't it?
I mean, I think the fight he has with Danny Glover in Predator 2 is pretty good as well, but it's nothing compared to this. I mean, Arnie's built contraptions to fight it in the mud, which obviously when he falls into the water starts working. Yeah. But it's just such a clever idea. I don't know how they came up with it, to be quite honest.
It probably has as well the most macho handshake of all time between Arnie and...
The government's getting to pushing too many pencils. Yeah, that one, yeah.
What's he called? The guy's name?
Carl Weathers.
Carl Weathers,
I don't know what it's called. What is he called in the film? Because Arnold Schwarzenegger's called Dutch.
Isn't he?
Yeah, what's he?
I can't remember what he's called, to be honest, but yeah. So, my number 4, and sticking with Arnold Schwarzenegger, is The Terminator.
Oh, well, that almost made my list as well.
Yeah, well, it was one of them. It was either The Terminator or Predator, and I felt The Terminator watching it was amazing. I mean, it's James Cameron movie for me. It's James Cameron's best film. Probably not by a country mile, because Aliens is a great movie too.
Yeah, but I prefer Terminator.
And I did a bit of a look at James Cameron. He's not actually directed that many movies in the 80s.
He did Piranha too, didn't he?
Yeah, the ones of note though were Aliens and Abyss, and it looked like Abyss was a bit of a flop. I'm not 100%.
I think it was,
yeah. But obviously Aliens was.
Well, they say a lot of the stuff he did in the Abyss he brought back for Avatar, apparently. A lot of stuff, a lot of ideas and stuff. So
I've got a bit of trivia on that actually in a bit, but I'll just start with like the beginning and where it's in the future, and you see the tank crushing the skulls. Unbelievable. And I actually saw a bit behind the scenes where the one at the front that you see is actually a full size skull, on the rest of minis.
Do you know one thing? Because obviously, I'm not as big a fan of Predator 2 as most people. Terminator 2, sorry, as most people. But he actually perfected that in Terminator 2, didn't he? The future stuff. It looked.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
it looked brilliant in the second one. Whereas the first one, it still looks brilliant, but you can kind of tell stuff, models and stuff.
I like all of it apart from the flying ship, which looks... I mean, it's 80s, so in 80s it looks amazing, but it looks a bit dated. I think it might be stop motion they did it with, which it doesn't quite look as good as the other stuff.
One of the things for me that works in the film, Michael Bihn's really good in it as well.
Fantastic.
I don't think he gets enough credit, actually.
No, I don't. Yeah. I was listening to Oliver Harper's retrospective about Alien, and he was saying it's a pity that he doesn't...
Oh, you mean Aliens?
Aliens, sorry, Aliens. Yeah. It's a pity he didn't become a big actor and get more stuff because he's really good at things.
Shit. I mean, he's still working. He's never stopped working, so...
Yeah.
But yeah, so sorry.
There's some great chase scenes in it. One that sticks in my mind the most is where Arnie's in the cop car and he comes after and he smashes into the wall.
Yeah.
And then he disappears when cops come. Somebody did point out on the podcast and so like, the Terminator, why does he stop? And I just thought it'd been a boring movie if he didn't.
The music's really good in it.
Yeah, well, that's what I've got written down. Brad Fiedel.
He did Fright Night as well.
I've got that written down. He did Fright Night 1 and 2, and it's a great Stim soundtrack.
I heard they only got him because they were cheap or something.
It might have been the case, yeah, because I think he had it all set up in his garage, didn't he?
Yeah, I think they couldn't get anyone, could they? And they got him on cheap, and then look how iconic the Terminator thing now.
There was a lot of things like I'll go into a bit of trivia later. I'll come back to some things they did. One thing I know about this film is, and I know we said we're omitting horror, but the last kind of hour of it is quite horror.
I think
it's not a horror film, but it's got a horror vibe to it.
There is a massive horror influence on the Terminator.
Oh,
I mean,
definitely.
you think about it, it's quite horrifying, isn't it? It's a cyborg.
Well, it becomes more like a Friday the 13th kind of Halloween thing. He's just chasing them, trying to kill
with the
them.
final chase, with the final girl, yeah.
One of the things I did laugh at recently watching it last few days was the fact that their car flips Sarah and
what's it called?
What's it called?
Kyle Reese.
Kyle Reese.
Yeah.
Their car flips, and I think he's the Terminator on the motorbike at that point. And they've all fallen down, and instead of going and just killing him, he goes back and gets a truck and tries to ram him. That's an 80s movie.
Well,
that is an 80s movie.
Can I just say on the subject of Arnold Schwarzenegger, I still think that's his best performance in the film. I think he just suited the role so well.
I like his mannerisms, and I did listen to something recently that said they didn't think they did that on purpose. I totally disagree. I think that he's a very dedicated man. If you read his book, I'm sure he mentions that he specifically looked into cyborg and robot movement, and just the way he moves his eyes and then moves across, it's just very robotic.
Did you know the original choice was for the Terminator?
It was O.J. Simpson, wasn't it?
Oh no, sorry, they were going to make it with. He's actually in the film.
Oh yeah,
Lance Henriksen.
Now
that to me would not have worked.
No, there's some artwork in there that you see.
I could have seen it as a cheap B sci-fi movie with him, maybe, but not like.
I even love the stuff like the prosthetic head, even though I know it looks a bit fake.
But I prefer that they're trying to do that than
The only thing I would say later on in the film, man, he's got a prosthetic eye, and they've done something to his cheek, and it looks amazing. I kind of thought, why didn't they use that then? But I mean, I love that sort of stuff.
Same.
Going back to the box office for this, spent 2 weeks at #1, which in the 80s for an R-rated movie was a massive thing. I don't think R-rated movies got to #1, and they certainly didn't stay there.
Yeah, there's still.
And the budget was literally $6 million for this movie.
It's pretty small, isn't it?
And it made $38.3 million in America.
That's a big hit.
It made $78 million worldwide. So, and going back to the trivia, what you were on about earlier, where the Abyss and you were on about him like perfecting stuff. He couldn't do in this Terminator what he wanted to do. He wanted to do 2 Terminators, and he wanted to have a shape-shifting one like he used in Terminator 2.
All right, okay.
And how that came about was in Abyss. They used something similar to that, don't they?
Did that give him the... to do the Terminator 2?
So you knew he could do it then.
I'm kind of glad they didn't have that, because I think that raised the stakes in the second one, didn't it? Having a Terminator like that, so...
he shot a lot of scenes guerrilla style as well, like no permits, just going out there and just turning up with Arnie, and Arnie was having to clothe himself in the end.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think it must have been what I'm thinking is.
And this is a big Hollywood film.
It's where he's going looking for Sarah Connor. I presume it's one of the women who's not the Sarah Connor, because he's walking on the streets and they didn't need any makeup then. So I'm presuming.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I could see that actually. When Chance's down, he goes Sarah Connor. She's like, yeah, done.
And there was one bit as well where the police actually did show up when they didn't have a permit. And one of the crew members evidently said, "Oh, it's my son's film project.
All right,
I've got one last scene to film." And he's like, "All right." Then he drove off and he bought it. Otherwise, they'd have been in big trouble.
That's funny.
And evidently, James Cameron sold the rights to the movie for $1 to somebody. I can't remember who it was. It was as a woman, with a stipulation that he could direct the film and he couldn't be fired, so he could make the movie because they didn't want him to make this film.
Oh, that's interesting.
But more interesting...
They probably made more money off the back of it doing well, didn't they?
Well, the more interesting thing is the rights revert back to him in 2019, and they're bringing out a new Terminator movie in 2019. Well, he's producing it, isn't he? Yeah. I saw a picture from it today.
Tim Miller, who did... Yeah, I did.
Did you see the picture?
Yeah, we're a bit...
It was one of them when I was just a bit like, you can't really judge it on that, but I'm not really impressed by the picture either. So. But anyway, so moving on to your number 3.
Big Trouble in Little China.
Ah, brilliant.
From my favourite director, John Carpenter. I think
Fantastic
it's just it's just a fantastic film. Kurt Russell as
one-liners.
What's he called again? Jack Burton. Probably my favourite movie character ever.
Who? Me.
Without a doubt, the best movie character ever. I just don't think there's a character I like in a film more than Jack Burton.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
I just think it's wacky as hell. I mean, I watched it with my wife a while back, and she'd never seen it, and she was like, "What is this?" Yeah,
I think I think some 80s movies, if you watch them in the 80s, you can watch them now. I think some 80s movies maybe you can't. I'm not saying nobody can, because I kind of like watching cheap sci-fi B movies all on a night, but there's certain people you're going to show that film to, and they're not going to get it.
It's one of those films. There's not a film like it.
No, I don't.
And John Carpenter's, his music's on point again as always. His music was always on point. I mean, I think in the 80s he did nothing wrong. He just kept making great films after great films.
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate how this worked out for him. The studio did his head in that much that he just stopped making Hollywood films. It's a real shame.
Yeah, he didn't. This was one of the ones that didn't do very well, was it?
It was a big flop.
It's done well like years later. Hasn't it?
I've got some trivia on that.
All right. Okay.
But I'll come to that in a bit.
Right.
Have you done on that, or do you want to say anything else?
Yeah, well, if you, I assume
it's going to come.
Yeah. So I will.
Spoiler alert!
I will let you talk about more when we get to it. Yeah.
Well, my number 3, I think, is definitely coming up for you, and that's Back to the Future.
yeah.
So I won't talk too much about it. So I'll just give you. Obviously, I think this is one of the greatest. It's my number 3. And the only reason it's my number 3, I was saying the top 3 and I kept switching them around. This was the one. This was either going to be number 1 or number 3. And I don't know why, but my number 2 movie couldn't be anything but
Shall
number
we
2.
get more into that when I get to it? Because it's on my list, and then we can go more in depth.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's fine.
So my number 2 is RoboCop.
Good movie.
Which is one of the
very good movie.
Best movies of all time. I think I watched it when I was a little bit too young. I think I must have been 4 or 5. I must have been very young.
That was one of the ones where I was like, how is this not even in my... Because I hadn't really done my top 10 properly, but I kept thinking, how is it not in there when I'd originally wrote them out, and it didn't make my top 5, but...
I remember as a kid, my mum buying me buying the helmet. I had the helmet and the gun. And I always think it's crazy how they marketed this film to kids, because it's such a violent film. I mean, I didn't actually realise how violent it was until I was older.
Yeah, because I don't know how old we were when we watched it, but we definitely shouldn't have been watching it.
And I got quoted to me a lot, "Can you fly, Bobby?" It's just, I think it's just an unbelievable film. It's such a great story, and I always used to think, oh, why were the sequels never any good? And they're doing a new one, so hopefully it's good. And then I watched Oliver Harvard Retrospective, as he said, and he said there's no need for a sequel because the whole arc of the story is done in one film. At the end, he is Murphy again.
Yeah, it's a bit like a movie. Another movie that didn't make my top 10, never mind my top 5, and I love it, Highlander.
Yeah,
didn't need a sequel.
Yeah,
it keeps getting one.
It got sequels He's behind me. It got sequels that didn't really make sense. But yeah, I just think the cast in RoboCop's brilliant. The music's brilliant. For me, it's Verhoeven's best film. I did Total Recall, but I'm not as huge a fan of that as you others might be. Yeah.
For anybody listening on the audio, by the way, because I do forget, because we are on YouTube, there are some Blu-rays behind me, and that's what I keep saying is there.
Yeah.
Just in case you're wondering.
So yeah, RoboCop for me, just the violence. I mean, I love the little vignette advert things that keep coming on in the little newscasts.
That I know that shouldn't work, but it does, doesn't it?
Well, I have to think somebody must have read Dark Knight Returns, because it's very similar to Dark Knight Returns. A lot of it is.
Was that out before RoboCop was made?
Yeah. Although, on the flip side of that, they were heavily inspired by Judge Dredd, because I watched the extras, and they talked about when they did the design, he actually looked more Judge Dredd-like at first, and basically made him more like RoboCop.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so, and Peter Weller.
Brilliant, yeah.
Paul Weller's the singer, isn't he? I always get those two mixed up.
Yeah, Paul
Weller. Funny enough, Peter Weller ended up voicing Batman in The Dark Knight Returns animated film as well, which was perfect, yeah. It's just, his performance is unbelievable. And he worked a lot on robot movements and stuff when he did a lot of training. He gets a lot of stick because he obviously got to a point where we were fed up of it, but you got to have it. He must have been awful under all that prosthetics to keep working.
Yeah, I think that tends to happen a lot, doesn't it? When people are under makeup and costumes a lot, they get a bit fed up with it, and I can imagine that in the 80s took a lot longer than it probably would have done today.
And there's a lot to be said about the story between Murphy and Lewis, who was originally supposed to be a man apparently, but they ended up casting the actress.
Oh, right.
On auditions.
I think it definitely works better with it.
Yeah, I think it would have been two blokes, so you wouldn't have felt. In fact, in the remake, it's a man. It doesn't quite have the same. But anyway, that relationship, and I think his name escapes me at the minute. Clarence Boddicker, the bad guy, is.
I know about Beverly Hills Cop.
Is he in Beverly? He's not in Beverly Hills Cop.
The bad guy.
Not in RoboCop.
Mine's mixing it too.
You're thinking of that other actor. They kind of do look a bit similar now you mention it. The guy was I'm on about the guy that was in that 70s show, played Red.
Oh no, I'm on about the main bad guy who was in charge of that company.
Oh no, not him.
Ah, right, yeah. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, he's in Beverly Hills Cop, isn't he?
Yeah, he's in Beverly Hills
No,
Cop,
I mean,
sorry.
he's the bad guy of the film, but he's not.
Yeah,
he's not the
yeah,
villain.
but
Of
yeah,
the
I
villain
know
of
what
the
you
film
mean.
is Cameron Spodica, and he's just so good in that film. I mean, I think that's why I
he's
loved him in That 70 Show years later. Cause,
Yeah, because I absolutely hated him for years, and I saw him in because I think you tend to, especially when you're younger, associate a character and the actor together, so you start disliking these
and
people.
It's just,
and
he is just unbelievable in it. And my favourite scene is where RoboCop's throwing him through all the windows and smashing him and. I work for Dick Jones. Yeah, and all that. Yeah, and obviously I can't move on from RoboCop without saying the line. I'd buy that for $1.
yeah. I absolutely love it, and I tend to like violent films that are, as long as they're more like because it's violent, but it's not realistic.
Yeah, it's very over. It's blood squibs.
It's over the top, blood squib violence. Yeah. And the director's cut is even more violent.
Well, it's a shame because Verhoeven wanted to come back for a sequel, but because his film Total Recall, the studio weren't willing to wait for him, and it's just like, why didn't they just wait a year?
Well, the problem was they toned it down because kids got interested in the cartoon.
Yeah, can you blame them? I suppose.
And the day when toys sell, that's the main deal in it. So.
But yeah, so that's my number two. Sorry.
So my number 2 is one you've already mentioned, Big Trouble in Little China.
I thought that might be the case, so we could talk about it now.
Yeah, just John Carpenter. I mean, in the 80s, he did the Fog, Escape from New York, The Thing, They Live, and this. I mean, that's some track record, isn't it? I mean, wow, there are a lot. They're some of my favourite films.
Yeah, it's
absolutely brilliant.
Definitely. 100%.
I think I actually have some. I wanted to do this for everything, but I couldn't remember, and this is why this is ahead of Back to the Future me because I have first memories of this. And I can remember this as a kid.
All right, okay.
I remember Lopin being quite. I won't say scary, like you went to bed scared of him, but you're like, whoa, that's a bit weird.
Yeah, well, it was very weird. Especially when he was an old man.
Yeah, and I absolutely love the 3 storms and always had lightning, rain, and thunder. They're just absolutely awesome characters, and it made me laugh even from a kid. And it kind of reminds me, do you remember when, as Dad taped as Dusk Till Dawn, we saw the end?
Yeah.
And I almost feel as kind of that would be from Little China, where it sort of builds up to the magic and all the fighting. It's all more at the end.
It's very fantasy oriented, isn't it?
Yeah, but as you said, Kurt Russell, I think this is his best performance in the movie. He's got some awesome.
I honestly think it's my favourite. Jack Burton's my favourite character.
And by the way, I was thinking, why did I 15? I mean, I know we watched RoboCop, but I don't think we were that young. I think we watched this when we were younger.
Yeah.
And this is a 15 on Blu-ray, and there's a bit where, do you know where he finds the elevator and he Wang's knocking on it.
Yeah.
And he swears there and he cuts it. That makes it a 15, that swear word.
Right,
that swear word makes it a 15, where it was...
I bet that wasn't in the version we had as a kid, were it?
No,
we had it taped off TV, didn't we?
That was I think a PG or a 12 or something then, so... But like you said, very random as martial arts, Chinese black magic, monsters. I mean, I can totally understand why people watching go, what the hell is this?
A girl with green eyes?
Girl with green eyes, yeah. The only sort of negative I have on this, and it's not really a negative on the film, I just always felt a bit sorry for Dennis Dunn, because Jack Burton's not really the hero of the film, Dennis Dunn is.
Yeah. But they have a good camaraderie, don't they?
Yeah, they do. He sort of becomes the hero because he's a bit of a bump in it, and he does actually.
And that bit where he runs all that thing and he just goes. With his eyebrows, the eyebrows, it's absolutely hilarious.
Always tickle me. But again, going back to music, synth, John Carpenter.
Yeah.
Just the music.
Can I just say, the Jack Burton scene when he comes out and he goes, ha! And fires the guns and gets knocked out by the race.
That's what I mean. Yeah. And there's the bit where he stabs the guy and he falls on top of him.
He can't get. Yeah, and he goes, ha! And then everyone's knocked out and done that. Yeah. It's just genius. I mean,
it's an absolutely brilliant film.
That film with a different actor would not.
Actually, there was. I've got a bit.
Is this just the one instead of Kurt Russell?
Yeah, it was. The studio wanted, because this was quoted incorrectly on a podcast I had earlier. That it was actually the studio wanted Clint Eastwood or Jack Nicholson.
I can kind of see why, because
they both declined, but because John Carpenter always wanted Kurt Russell, but the studio didn't want.
They do that a lot. I mean, I know when I can't remember the director's name. I made American Psycho. She wanted Christian Bale. The studio wanted Leonardo DiCaprio, and I think he did sign on, and then he ended up leaving the project, and then she got Christian Bale. Sometimes it's better to, ride it out as a director and basically play the studio game, and then when that don't work out, you're like, right, well, there's my guy or girl.
On casting, do you know John Carpenter was first choice for Wang was?
No.
Jackie Chan.
Was it?
Yeah, he wanted Jackie Chan.
In some ways, it's a shame that didn't happen.
Yeah, so in some ways, I mean, I do really like Dennis Dun. I think it's a real shame
Would
that
it
he
have
hasn't
become a
gone
Jackie Chan vehicle? And is it?
I don't think so, because of that. I think the
I
reason,
bet that would have been in China.
Yeah, I think the reason he didn't do it at the time, he'd done. I don't know if he'd done The Protector by that point, but he might have done. But there was, was it Big Creek Brawl or? Oh God, I can't believe I forgot what it's called.
He's a big Jackie Chan fan as
yeah,
well.
Massive Jackie Chan fan.
Do you know what I was going to say? Actually,
Battle Creek Brawl, I think it's called.
Okay.
And that was a massive flop, and he hated American movies, and he went back to Hong Kong at that time. And I think it's probably around the same time that happened.
Yeah.
So he turned it down, and then Dennis Dun got the role.
There's actually a scene in Between China that reminds me a little bit of Armageddon. It's when they're on that little bridge thing, when they're going to rescue him from the...
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
It's very similar, isn't it? Yeah.
That is in my top...
and Armageddon's a great film as well. I'm not a big fan of foreign-speaking films because I have a problem with subtitles, but that one I absolutely love.
And last bit on casting, Kurt Russell, evidently, this is according to IMDb, turned down the lead role in Highlander as Conor McLeod to do this.
Really?
I was like, if that's true, that's amazing.
That would have been strange.
So, a little bit about the box office. It flopped largely because 20th Century Fox didn't know how to market it. But when you think about the film, where do you start?
Yeah, they'll probably be able to market
crazy.
it a lot better these days, I think. Although they'll probably still mess it up because they did make it wrong crowd. But
they were expecting it to be a massive hit, this, because test audiences absolutely loved it. So I think that just shows you the marketing cost this big time.
But now that probably would help because you have Rotten Tomatoes and all that, what people are obsessed with. And when films don't get good reviews, people will go see them.
I don't know if I made a mistake, but I happened to just come across Rotten Tomatoes and I got 100% score on Terminator.
I think there might be because
I don't know
there's
what that
not
was.
as much access to reviews, possibly. Although I will just say, I'm not a fan of Rotten Tomatoes. I think it's causing problems in Hollywood.
I did listen a bit about Rotten Tomatoes and what it's not really their fault. They're just taking aggregate scores and they're putting them there.
But the system is flawed because there's been situations where people have written reviews and then somebody else has submitted that reviewer's review and put it as a negative.
How is that
even right?
They definitely need to look at that.
It's not right.
I've noticed the thing though with, I don't know what it is with haters. I don't know why they even bother coming on the internet. Just go do something interesting in life.
Exactly,
Don't come on. And I've just seen it on IMDb where I've seen scores on a movie and you can see people deliberately... A film that's 1 star. Have you ever seen a film that you would rate 1 star? I can't think of anything that I think is that bad that I would give it 1 star. No, maybe not, no. I think 4 is probably the lowest I've ever gone for a film. I can't remember what that was, but...
I mean, it's out of 10 stars.
Yeah.
Out of 10 stars.
Yeah, but I think people are deliberately doing it, rating it 1 star. There's tons of reviews, and people are doing it on purpose. The thing for me is, even if a film ain't very good, I can maybe still appreciate something on a technical... Batman and Robin's terrible, but I'd probably still give it a 3 or something, because it looks decent. Yeah.
But anyway,
enough of the
negativity.
But going back to the box office, it had a £25 million budget, but only made $11 million back in the US.
You mean dollars?
Yeah, dollars. Did it say pounds?
I
meant dollars. It's all American, this. But fortunately, it was a cult hit on
video. But I'd love
video,
to know where it's made since.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's a cult hit on home video, and it got showed on TV a lot, so that's where it's come round. But
so when does your son get to see that one?
To be honest, I would have let him watch it because I think it's a 12 without the swear word, and he doesn't tend to notice stuff like that. He knows swear words.
He doesn't swear either, does he?
No, he knows swear words aren't to be repeated.
Sure, my little boy will swear.
But we'll go on to your number 1, which
is Back to the Future.
Which, like I said, I think it's one of the greatest films of all time. The only reason it didn't make my number 1 is because I love when things remind me of how I felt when I was a kid. And my number 1 movie reminds me more of that than
something for me is, I've always got a favourite superhero film, I've got a favourite horror film, and sometimes you'll guess what number 1 is, I'll say one of them. But then when I actually cut through the BS and just think about what is actually my favourite film, what film can I watch anytime, enjoy, it's Back to the Future. I think it's a perfect film. Can you name anything in the film you don't like?
No,
apart from it being a bit weird that his mum hits on him.
Well, yeah,
but she's kind of funny.
There is that.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything I've
listened to some people talk about 80s movies recently, and it's kind of irritated me because it was the 80s, it was a different time, and they talk about effects and all that kind of thing. I think the one thing with Back to the Future is there's only that one tiny effect at the end that probably doesn't quite stand. Yeah, it doesn't quite stand up, but it doesn't look horrendous. It looks alright.
I think it looks fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So
for me, I just think it's just everything about. I couldn't change a single. For every film I love, there's always something I might go. I wouldn't have done that. But nothing in Back to the Future. I just think, and the
really
soundtrack's
good.
brilliant. You know, you've got Johnny B. Good, you've got Earth Angel, and you've got obviously got the music. You know, all that
Again,
sort of
that's
stuff.
something I wrote down. I've written about pretty much every movie. In this list
I love
of the
that Robert
music
Zemeckis is like, you're not remaking Back to the Future to Hollywood as well. He's like, you're not making a Back to the Future film.
Yeah, he said him or Bob Gale, as long as they're alive, they're not remaking it.
Yeah.
I think he's just one of those films that there'd be a massive backlash if they do this.
You
And
can't
how would
really
it work without
And
Michael
who-
J. Who's
yeah.
like Michael J. Fox
Well,
now?
there was obviously the film with Eric Stoltz, wasn't there? And it wasn't
It
working,
didn't
right?
work, yeah.
So they got rid of him, brought in Michael J. Fox, who was the original choice.
Yeah.
And he wanted filming he was still filming a sitcom at the time, wasn't he?
Michael J. Fox.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
And they
Yeah.
wanting to getting him on his day off to film.
Was it?
Or is it
Ties, or is that different?
I think it might have been, I can't remember. But weren't they getting him to film in the evenings or
Yeah,
on
he
the
was.
weekend?
He was filming.
Maybe that's why a lot
I
of it
believe
shot
he was
there.
filming up till 5 o'clock on that show. If it was from
He
the
must
Ties,
have been
whatever it was
exhausted.
called. And I think he was starting Back to the Future at 6, but he was filming till like 5 or 6 in the morning. He was getting. I don't know if that's quite right, but he was getting basically. I heard 5 hours sleep a night, which is nowhere near enough for me. Absolutely nowhere.
I suppose it were probably got paid a lot of money though, but this film.
Oh, and he did weekends as
was
well.
his breakout
on
film,
Back to the
wasn't it?
Future, so he didn't really get a chance to catch up on sleep then either.
You know the bit at the beginning when he tunes up the sound and he does the. It still makes me laugh.
Yeah,
There's not. I watch it and it's like,
I agree.
I love the fact that Family Guy just reference it constantly and they did a full episode on it.
Yeah.
I just think the film is just like the cultural impact of this film has been.
Like I say, this
incredible.
was a film that I did switch to number one, then switch back, and I just went back to that. All nostalgia. Does it make me feel like it?
Yeah.
I think the only problem I have with Back to the Future is I've watched it that many times now. I can't remember what it was like when I was a kid. I really can't remember it.
No, I struggle.
But just because I love it that much.
I just
I've
remember I
watched
used
it
to
that
always
much.
watch it.
Yeah, well, it is one of them.
You know,
an honourable mention. I'm just going to say that we didn't mention that we've probably watched as much time as anything as The Burbs. Neither of us put that in. We used to basically share a room together, and we used to put that film on.
Yeah, The Burbs. Yeah.
Even when we were like, "What can we watch?"
See,
I don't want to watch that.
That film
put
for
The Burbs
me
on.
does cross into horror.
Yeah,
Personally,
yeah.
I'm not saying it's a horror film, but it does cross into horror.
I agree with you.
But coming back to the Future, who's the actor who plays Biff Tannen again? I've forgotten his name.
Oh God.
I had it the other day as well. It don't matter anyway, but his performance is absolutely incredible in that film. I don't think he gets enough credit.
I've wrote down he's my favourite character.
Yeah, he is mine as well. He's so stupid. Why don't you make like a tree and get out of here?
I love that line.
And the bit,
Brilliant.
hey, look over there, and he punches him. And I love in the second one how they're doing the gag again, but it don't work.
Yeah. Well, they
Stuff
do
like
a
that,
lot
yeah.
of the same things, but they twist them a little bit.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
watch all three. I love all three of them. They're just. I
It's a
know
great
it's
trilogy,
basically the
yeah,
same movie
yeah.
3 times, but he's that good. I
Yeah,
don't care. But I was going to go on to Robert Zemeckis. He did his other films in the 80s, Back to the Future 2, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and Romance in the Stone. All those films I think are really good as well.
Exactly, yeah.
Which Romance in the Stone's finally got on iTunes, so I'm going to get that.
Is the sequel Jewel the Nile, isn't it? Did he not do Jewel the Nile then?
I don't think so.
No,
I'm not
right.
100% sure about that. That was the one that...
Was that still 80s?
I'm not sure, because I
Do you
know
know
Back to the
what?
Future 3
I'm going to have to watch that
It
again.
was filmed Back to the Future
I mean,
2, but Back to the Future 2
yeah.
it came out in the 90s.
A film we didn't mention again, that we used to watch a lot as a kid, was Inner Space.
That's actually on my
Yeah.
list. I remembered it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that might be a golden oldie or what blast one the past.
Yeah,
whatever
we're
it's
gonna talk about it. at some point.
yeah, I'll just quickly go through mine. I thought it was a perfect family movie for adults and children. This is the one movie on my list that I think stands up better than any 80s movie as well.
Yeah, I agree.
It's
That's one of the
just
reasons I love it so
absolutely
much.
brilliant. I love the start as well. You know, the clock. All
Yeah.
the clocks, and then it goes past the TV, and the TV's talking about plutonium. This is what I love about
Yeah.
this. It goes all the way across, the toast popping and everything, and it comes down. It's the skateboard that leads straight to the plutonium.
yeah.
I was like, genius.
Yeah, they set a lot of things up in the film. I didn't
They
notice
do,
as a
yeah.
kid, but when you're older, you notice.
Oh well, I had. I'll tell you, I think.
By the way, I mentioned music and didn't mention The Power of Love. What's wrong with me? That's like an
Bit of
iconic
trivia
song.
for you. Well, it's not trivia; it's in the film. But did you notice the mall is called Twin Pine Malls?
Yeah.
And when he breaks out the bar, and knocks one of the pines over trees. So when he goes back to 1985 later on, it's called Soul Pine Mall
Soul Pine.
or something like that. I think I wrote it down somewhere, but whatever it was called, I
there's
was
a
just
lot of
like,
detail that you don't notice.
sorry,
isn't
Lone
there?
Pine Mall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, I didn't even notice it. I only knew because I heard it on a podcast I listened to. I was like, no way.
It's kind of ironic that it's called Back to the Future and it's timeless.
Yeah.
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 Can I just give a shout out to Crispin Glover as well, who I thought was brilliant as his dad.
Yeah, it's a shame what happened with him because I'd love to see him. I think he would have been a big part in all three of them.
Yeah, and I love his daddy-o bit when he's going to call him dad and stuff. And I just think the chemistry between those two is really good.
It's fantastic. Yeah, I wrote that the chemistry between all the cast is absolutely brilliant. But I think there's a special relationship there with Marty and Doc.
They did something hilarious on Family Guy, one of the many Back to the Future references, and it's Crispin Glover's character years later having a go at the mother because the kid looks exactly like the guy they used to know back in the 80s. Which you always think, why did they not think? He's like, hang on a minute, is this not? He looks exactly like that guy. You know, thinking so had happened. Yeah. So. Something
that somebody pointed out on a podcast I listened to, and I thought, oh yeah, he's got a point. They love Marty and decided to name the third kid Marty, not the first kid. And I was like, he's got a point there.
You know, one of the other sons is Mark McClure, who played Jimmy Olsen in the Superman movies.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah. So I won't go on to any more things that I've wrote down. I think we've pretty much covered it. Oh, I just was going to say this goes for this movie and probably most movies in the list, but this one specifically. When you hear that music, you can be stood in any room in your house and you know exactly what's on that television.
Well, we haven't really talked about Doc, have we, either? And what a great character Christopher Lloyd played. And,
no, all I said before was Marty.
He comes back in A Million Ways to Die in the West, doesn't he? Has the same character. I love that.
Yeah, he's a great character. Because if you're going to let your son go around to a nutty professor's house who collects clocks, you know,
yeah, probably, nice it's more questionable in 2018 than it was in 1985.
Yeah, it was somewhere else I heard in the podcast. I was like, man, it was 1980s. They were like, you know.
But that again, I think almost like that. Imagination's kind of been killed a bit now, and I think imagination was a massive thing back then. Yeah, I just think, like I say, perfect movie, perfect cast, and perfect music. I just think. For me, the greatest film of all time.
I won't disagree. Yeah. Even though it's not number one on my list, it could. My top three could easily be all number ones because it's just that good. Budget $19 million, made $210.6 million in the US alone.
See, that don't sound like a lot today, kids, but it is.
No, well, this is where I think inflation don't work because evidently The Incredibles 2 has already made more money than Back to the Future made it. And I'm like, but that don't work right, does it? It don't work right at all.
Cost more now as well.
I'm like, Incredibles 2 hasn't even out like a few weeks or something.
Yeah,
it's just... But anyway, it was the number one highest grossing movie in 1985, so that tells you all you need to know. Bit of trivia. Yes, I love this. In 2010, during a cast reunion, Michael J. Fox evidently said he went out to Bhutan.
Oh, really?
It's a bit of a joke from one of our old films, which is located between China and India. He saw a Buddhist monk who passed by him and looked at him and said, Marty McFly. And I was like, that's a Buddhist monk. Knew we were. Evidently, the script was rejected 44 times before it's finally greenlit. So
well, it worked out. It worked out at the end, didn't it? It's a great script.
And when the movie, the test previewed it to an audience, they hadn't finished, you know, the end scene where the DeLorean guns up into the air and flies off.
Yeah.
It was evidently in black and white. Well, the audience were that bothered that they stood and applauded at the end of the movie and cheered.
Wow.
So it obviously didn't make a difference.
Wow. You probably could have left that scene in black and white and it would have been quite...
I'm like I say, my number one is different, but
I just want to, before I'm writing number one, I just want to say the irony. I'm wearing a Ghostbusters t-shirt and we haven't talked about Ghostbusters, and I love Ghostbusters, but it is not in my top 5, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't even know.
Probably not even in my top 10.
No. But there's so many 80s movies that are so good.
But we talk about like 80s movies and like you're on about Michael J. Fox and his iconic actors and his comedic performances. Bill Murray in Ghostbusters is absolutely fantastic, isn't he? So, he was on his top game, wasn't he, in the 80s, Bill Murray.
I tell you what I noticed about 80s movies. Back to the Future, Electricity. Highlander, Electricity. Terminator, Electricity.
Yeah.
There was another one as well. I'm like, they liked electricity.
Yes,
It was obviously an effect.
Probably a cheap effect that they could do.
We've got this effect we can do, like shoot it in everything. Loved it. But I love that sort of stuff.
I do. I absolutely picture of Little China.
That's the other picture of Little China. So on to my number one. My number one is Goonies, and there's a very specific reason for this. I remember this as a kid, and I watch it. And when I flicked Back to the Future to number one, I saw something for the Goonies, and I thought, that has to be my number one movie.
I thought that'd be our number one.
I feel like this is an ultimate test. If you were around in the 80s, and you loved this movie when you were younger, if you do not like that now, that child inside you, I feel sorry for you, because that child has died. It has died.
Can I just bring some about? Because I remember vividly watching this as a kid a lot. I remember the VHS we had didn't have the beginning bit, did it, where they broke out the band?
I wrote that down. Yeah.
It started with him.
It started with Chunk, didn't it, on the...
No, I thought it did start at the end of the breakout. We had him pouring the gasoline, didn't we?
The first bit I remember was Chunk. I couldn't remember. I know we had the beginning.
You mean when he pushes the ice cream against the thing?
Yeah.
Not the milkshake, I mean.
Yeah.
But we had the chase. It sort of started like during the chase, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did have the
That
beginning.
music's great as well, isn't it? In that scene.
I was just about to say, I said before about Back to the Future, and I think for me, Beat from Little China would be the same with the music, but this one as well.
Yeah.
There's that, just them little beats.
Yeah.
If I'm in the kitchen
brilliant.
when Ethan's been watching, he couldn't get him to watch the Goonies, but I will one day. I had to actually bribe him to watch The Princess Bride. I forgot to tell you.
Yeah,
that.
he loved it. Yeah.
And I said he usually goes to bed at 8, and I says if you watch this film with me at 7, you'll actually go to bed later than 8 o'clock. So he's still there. So I'll watch it. And he loved it. But no, Goonies. I'd actually asked him to watch this first, but he hasn't watched it yet. But I think he will really like this one. So.
Yeah.
But going back to The Princess Bride, he thought I was going to say to him, I'll give you some money if you watch it. I was like, my child's trying to stop me already. So this was directed by Richard Donner, who did Superman 2, Lethal Weapon 1 and 2, and...
He did Superman. He did part of Superman 2.
Well, there is a Richard Donner cut in.
There is, but he's more famous for doing Superman, Dan. Come on.
He's done it on his list, but Superman is not an 80s movie.
He's done all the Lethal Weapons. Yeah, I know it's not.
I'm just listing 80s movies that they did.
Well, he's not actually credited as a director on Superman 2. Richard Lester is.
He's still on his IMDb list, so that's why.
Okay, I'll let it off then. Yeah.
And he did Scrooge as well, which we both loved. So. And there will be a top 5 80s.
We should just do a top 5 Bill Murray.
Top 5 Christmas movies. There'll definitely be that coming. Funny enough, the story was the guy who came up with the story and produced it was Steven Spielberg.
I know all this because
I didn't know he came up with the story.
I think he directed a lot of Second Unit as well.
Yeah, he did. I found out today actually that he directed the scene over the pipes.
Yeah.
That's a great scene in the movie.
Yeah.
That's not to say the others are. I mean, I think Richard Donner's a really good director.
Well, I was just going to say, you bring up. Did you mention Chris Columbus actually just then?
No, I was going to say he wrote it. I mean, what
that
kind
guy
of
in Hollywood?
You've got Richard Donner directing, Steven Spielberg producing and directing parts, and Chris Columbus. That is an unbelievable combination.
He directed Home Alone, didn't he? Or did he produce
Chris
it?
Columbus.
No, did John Hughes direct it actually? Or did John Hughes produce it? Anyway, Chris Columbus has been involved. He was involved in like Harry Potter and stuff, wasn't he?
I think he did Home Alone. Yeah, he did Harry Potter.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back to it, I remember as having this recording VHS, and even to the point where I remember the splash screen of the adverts.
Oh yeah,
and it's the one where they're hanging from the stalactite, isn't it?
Now you know the scene where Mouth is doing all the talking to.
Yeah, well that's different in the TV version because obviously.
Is it?
Yeah,
I was going to ask you. Yeah, if you knew. Yeah.
There's a big thing about this now.
The
that some
subtitles
people
are
are
talking
like,
about
God, can you let your kid watch this? Because there's actually a dead body in it.
God, yeah, there is.
In the fridge when Chunk stood there getting ice cream.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
There's the dead body.
That is hilarious.
They're firing guns all the time. There's quite a lot of the S word in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of swearing. Yeah.
Because actually, Data was told by his parents he wasn't allowed to swear on set. So there's a bit later on where he spells out the S word. He doesn't have to say it. He spells down. That's the reason he did it.
Right.
I thought that was quite interesting. But I was gonna say, I remember the alternative subtitles with Mouth, and he didn't say anything like that. Because I remember when I first got the DVD.
Was this to PG it up a bit though?
Yeah, because he talks about drugs and sex dungeon and stuff. And you're like, oh my god, I didn't realise he were talking about this, which I think it's really funny. But yeah, I can't remember. In fact, I do remember one bit where he's on about putting water and toilet roll in the bottom drawer.
Oh, right, okay.
God, I just remembered that.
From
Literally
the TV,
just remembered it. Yeah, from the TV. I want to get hold of the TV version again so I can watch them because I remember them being really funny too. So the alternative.
You might even find it might be a little bit longer because sometimes they put extra scenes in on TV to flesh it out a bit and stuff. So.
Well, some of the deleted scenes did get put back in the Disney Channel version in America.
Really?
I think the octopus got put back in.
Right.
Which it's not a very good scene.
No,
to be honest. That's why
I
it
see
got
why
cut because
they
it
cut,
looks a bit daft.
Very hokey, wasn't
it dances away as well.
Does it?
Data puts the Walkman in its mouth, and everyone's like, did it electrocute it? But literally, you can tell it's dancing away. And I think Richard Donner watched it with the cast, and the cast was trying not to laugh, and he was like, "This is terrible. Take it out."
Would you just gone about Richard Donner? Do you think he's one of the most underrated directors of all time? Because he's done a lot of films. And
you don't really remember him. I think I know him more from when, because I wasn't really that. I didn't know directors that well. I know some of them like Spielberg from when I was younger.
Yeah,
but
well,
now,
everyone knows Spielberg.
I wasn't clued up until more. I'd say more than the last few years. I started getting clued up on directors. But yeah, so Richard Donner, I knew him more from the Superman 2. You know, the Richard
the
Donner
Richard
cut.
Donner, yeah, because it was so predominantly the Richard Donner cut.
Richard Donner cut, yeah.
Fair enough.
But I remember as a kid as well wanting to get a treasure map and go hunting for treasure.
Yeah, well, look at the great TV show The Goldbergs did a brilliant episode tribute to this, didn't they? Which is just so 80s, we love it. Yeah,
if you love 80s, go watch The Goldbergs because it's absolutely full of it. Ultimate kids movie for me. Ultimate kids movie, especially. I think kids will still enjoy this today. I think there's a certain age where they won't kind of get it because kids don't do what they did in the 80s.
Yeah.
So
it's not as much adventure
tablets.
now, is it? It's more about let's play. Is it that game Fortune or whatever it's called?
Yeah, Fortnite.
Fortnite, that's it. That shows all the games I play.
But I think someone like my son's age, he'd enjoy it because he's still got that imagination and stuff. I was going back to what you were saying about the jail and the car chase. I think that sets the the film up perfectly because it's so intense at the beginning. And there's this chase, there's this bum, bum, bum.
Well, you talk about scenes that aren't good for kids. That he pretending to hang himself at start. Yeah.
There's a lot in there. Yeah. I think I heard.
I think they dumbed down stuff too much for kids.
I don't know if they cut some of that on TV though.
Oh right, okay.
So, but like Data's gadgets. Who's your favourite Goonie?
I've always liked Chunk. I love Chunk's side story with Sloth as well. Is he called Sloth?
Yeah.
And I think he's a great character. I mean, they do even do the Superman, don't they, with the shirt. Yeah. That was obviously Richard Donner's info.
And there's the Gremlins reference where Chunk phones the police and he goes, "Is this about that same as that time where you told me you spilt water on that creature?" And blah 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 whatever. That. Yeah, that's
I've got to like Chunk. He's got all best lines. Like he's a liar as well. He's like, Michael Jackson didn't come over my house to bath for that time, but his sister did.
My favourite scene is where he's on the floor and he's eating the ice cream.
Yeah.
And evidently...
they take it off him!
Yeah, and he's got a spoon and he tries to get the spoon.
It's like...
brilliant. He starts crying.
I kind of like how the Fratellis, they're called?
Fratellis,
yeah. They're kind of like big kids and they argue with him and stuff, aren't they?
Well, evidently when they went for the part and they didn't like each other and that's how they got the parts because they said, that's what I want you to do. Yeah, I heard that today. Yeah, that's how they got the part. And I loved it. I loved in that one. I didn't watch it for years and I kind of forgot what happened. I'm like, he's got hair. And then he takes his toupee off. I'm like, he's still not got hair. I've never seen him.
He's one of them actors. He's like in every film.
Yeah, he is.
You just like, it's him.
I listened to something and they said it was like a toned down Indiana Jones, and I thought that's what they're spot on there. It is actually.
I could see
it's
like
Indiana
a kid's version.
Yeah.
Just going on actors. Sean Astin's in it. We went on to Lord of the Rings. He looks completely different now.
Yeah, they were saying if you watch his next movie, he looks more like Sean Astin. They were saying maybe it was the time because he's obviously still got that croaky voice. So I don't think he went through that stage as a boy.
Obviously,
before the film,
Josh Brolin.
Yeah, Josh Brolin's. I think it's his first film, isn't it? Josh Brolin.
I think the biggest actors in it are probably those two and Corey Feldman. Would you say? Obviously, and Joe Pantoliano as well.
Oh yeah.
They're probably the biggest actors in it.
I think they've all gone on to do stuff though. Data, he did Indiana Jones 2.
Well, Chunk's not so chunky anymore, is he? Is he a lawyer or something?
I've heard some things recently about, like, him being the fat kid and him eating and stuff. And I think that was just an 80s thing, but I don't actually think they ever exploit him for that.
Yeah.
He does want to eat a lot, but, God, I want to eat a lot. I go to the gym a lot. I want to eat a lot. So I don't think it's a case of they're exploiting the fact that he's fat.
The truffle shuffle scene's hilarious.
The truffle shuffle scene's great. But yeah, I would agree. I'd also love Data because I used to love his gadgets.
Yeah, I don't think he acts anymore, does he?
I don't know. Just he was in Indiana Jones, wasn't he? And that's all I really know from him.
Yeah, short round in Indiana. He's in the second Indiana Jones, isn't he? Not the first.
Yeah. So I was going to go into box office. It had a budget of $19 million in it. It made approximately like $60 million in the US.
I thought it would have been more actually. That's still a good.
It's a good return, yeah. I mean, it's the 9th highest grossing movie of 1985, so it's still in the top.
Well, it doesn't shock me because it's like just moving on to horror. Halloween 4 made 17 million in the 80s, and that was a massive hit for them. And it's like people will say 17 million. What's that? That's like a budget.
But
it's
one of them, isn't it? You have to make double the budget to be a hit.
Well,
and this one's made triple, so
as long as the budget's real,
it's still a big hit, and that's only the US. I don't know why it made worldwide, and I would imagine this was a even bigger hit on video.
I can imagine so, on video. How many kids have discovered it later? I mean, what was I won?
I was going to say that Richard Donner evidently giggled at that bit I was on about Chunk with the ice cream, and evidently somebody said, and I hadn't checked it yet, but if you listen to it on the DVD, you can hear him giggling in the background. I still think he's hilarious.
That is so good, yeah.
He's such a good
That's
actor.
why Chunk's my favourite Goonie, though. Just
Yeah,
stuff like
he makes the film. He's
that. It
great.
cracks me up.
According to Sean Astin, he was allowed to keep the treasure map, and his mum found it. And I think I mentioned this to you before.
You might have done.
And she thought it was a crinkled up piece of rubbish paper, and she threw it out.
Oh no! He must not have kept it in a safe place, though.
The guy who created that, I don't know if you know this either, but you know, to make something old, use coffee, but everyone uses his own blood as well.
Oh god!
It's like
I would rather have kept the little amulet thing that they used to.
Well, funny enough, anybody could have had the ship, but nobody wanted it, so they had to dismantle it. But because they properly built that ship.
I can imagine somebody would have it now.
Oh yeah, it wouldn't have gone to waste, would it? And I don't know if you know this as well, but the cast weren't allowed to see the pirate ship
until they saw it. Is that why when they see it, they're very much...
They're like, wow, and that's evidently a lot of that's real reactions, apart from somebody swore, I think it might have been Josh Brolin.
Oh, right. Well, that show me.
Well, I think he says the S word, which I didn't really understand, because a lot of them say that, but I think they didn't want his reaction to be that, so they
so they changed it, yeah.
Yeah, but, he said holy S.
Do you know what? Can I just mention something really strange, actually? I don't know why it popped to my head. The girl who played Andy.
Yeah.
The girl from Stranger Things reminds me of her, thinking now. You know the sister in Stranger Things?
Yeah, I know what you know about, yeah.
Yeah, she kind of reminds me of that.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, I don't know why it just popped in my head then, really randomly.
Well, I listened to something earlier and they said that, they didn't want Back to the Future remade, they don't want Goonies remade, and they said...
They shouldn't even do a sequel to Goonies, in my opinion.
I agree with him. He was on about how he thinks the ship's sailed, and I think it has, but the way Stranger Things has brought people back to that, he's like, I think this is going to end up getting greenlit.
But is this not... do you not make something similar? And
well, that's what he was saying.
Like the Monster Squad is Goonies with monsters.
Don't remake Goonies, he said, make something that's influenced by it, which, at the end of the day, Stranger Things is.
Yeah.
It's influenced by the Goonies.
Well, apparently the next season that's going to be more Carpenter inspired, so...
Alright, that's
excited
interesting.
about that,
yeah. I love Stranger Things. So
we love the 80s, guys. Just like...
Oh yeah, God, my friend said to me not so long back, "You do know there were movies made outside the 80s, don't you, Dan?" I went, "No." But is that all you've got for yours? Because I'm just going to move on to some questions I had for you.
Yeah.
I don't know if you maybe mentioned this anyway. I just had, did you change any of your top 5? Which you did, didn't you? Because you said you changed.
I put the Running Man in and took the Goonies out, and I actually must admit one of the reasons I took the Goonies out because I thought you'd have it, and I kind of thought I'm going to get to talk about it anyway. But the Running Man for me, it's just one of the films I just...
We could probably do a video where we do like another 5 of the 8s and we'll just pick them together. And
the alternate. Yeah.
We could have done a top 20 and just counted down, but we decided to do a top 5 because it was a bit of a challenge, wasn't it?
Plus, you can't talk about 20 films, you'd be on for 4 hours or something.
Yeah. Of all of your top 5, which ones do you think still stand up today? And we've already mentioned it with Back to the Future.
Back to the Future, definitely. Are we talking about effects as well and stuff?
Yeah, I think if somebody new's coming to it, they didn't see it in the 80s.
I could kind of see people thinking RoboCop's not quite effects-wise.
Maybe so, yeah.
But it's not channel, like I say, I think if you didn't watch it years ago, I think you might just think it's weird.
I think it just depends on the person, and I think if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't.
I think you could watch The Predator now and still love it.
Yeah, good film.
I think The Running Man would probably seem like a cheap TV movie to people nowadays, to be honest. So I'd probably say of the two, Back to the Future and Predator, of my two.
I definitely think Back to the Future. I think Goonies still works for kids. I think they've got the imagination for that to still work. But I think
if you didn't watch it as a kid, I can see why you might, as an adult, think, what's this?
Yeah, and I said,
because when you're a kid, you could put yourself in those shoes.
Yeah, and I think as an adult, if you don't like it anymore, that's life. Things get to you, and we get older and grumpier. Yeah, unfortunately.
I certainly do.
Were there any films you watched but thought, "No, this doesn't make my top 5"? Because one for me was The Predator. I just thought I love it, but it just isn't going to make it in my top 5.
No, but I did rewatch Labyrinth a while back and didn't think it was very good.
I know you didn't like that, but I still love it.
I know you love it. I think it's.
I think that's because I can really still channel into that.
Maybe so, yeah. I can occasionally. It's probably with a stick. He's still there.
I might be 36, but I'm still 5 at heart. So I wanted to test you the top 5 highest ranking films in 1984. Can you name any of them?
84.
84.
What came out in 84? Was Rocky 4 one of them?
Nope.
That was 84, wasn't it? I think.
One of your favourites, isn't it?
One of my favourites.
I mentioned it. I'll give you a clue without turning around.
No, The Bears was later, wasn't it?
Give you a clue without turning around as a character from it.
Gremlins?
Gremlins.
Yeah,
Gremlins number
Gremlins.
4.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give you the Karate Kid was number 5, which made over $98 million.
This is bad because this is my year. Yeah, 84 as well.
Yeah, you were born. Yeah, so Karate Kid made over $90 million, nearly 91 to be honest. Gremlins was number 4, making over $148 million. Number 3 was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, making $179.8.
I thought that might have been number 1 actually. I'm a bit shocked by that.
No, number 2 was Ghostbusters, making $229 million.
Wow.
That's a lot. And just beating it with $234 million is Beverly Hills Cop.
And I bet Beverly Hills Cop was cheaper as well.
Probably, yeah. I mean, that 5 could easily be a top 5 of the 80s.
Beverly Hills Cop was so close to getting into my top 5 as well.
Yeah. I mean, Beverly Hills Cop, Ghostbusters, Indiana Jones, Temple of Doom, Gremlins, Karate Kid. None of them are in our top 5, but you could easily have that as a top 5, couldn't you?
Probably, yeah. Although,
films,
to be fair, I have not watched Indiana Jones since I was a kid, and I was always a bit.
I still really like it.
So,
but,
I'm gonna rewatch it at some point, and
I think
we'll probably cover it on the show.
Yeah, we're probably going to cover that.
Yeah. That is the first one, isn't it?
Temple of Doom. No, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh yeah, Raiders. Yeah, I think we'll probably do Raiders,
one.
but what I might do is do Raiders as the focus, and then cover the other two. They're in Indiana Jones 4. What are you on about? Cover the other two after.
I still liked it. I still don't have.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard bad things.
Maybe you should watch it.
But
yeah, I think that's everything for us.
So if you want to follow us, we're at MBP Movie Pod on Twitter, and you can email us at Bros Marshall. No, that's not right. That is, it's marshallbrosproductions@gmail.com. I'm going to get that eventually. I promise you, folks.
I think that's it.
Yeah. Till next time.
Thanks for tuning in.
Indeed.